What is the highest number of waterfalls you can see in a single day hike in the UK? The answer to this question probably depends on your fitness, but South Wales is almost certainly the best place to find out. Home to the popular Four Falls walk, as well as the waterfall which features in The Dark Knight Rises, and many others besides, today I'm going to show you how to easily see 8 major waterfalls in a single hike in the Brecon Beacons National Park. So I've just arrived in the Brecon Beacons and I've just parked my car here. I will show you on a map where this is, as this is not one of the main Four Falls car parks. However, I would recommend parking here if you can, because it's a little bit closer to the waterfalls than the main car parks. Unfortunately, it's quite small though, so if you want to get a space, you will need to arrive early in the day. And if you can't, then the main car parks are perfectly fine as well. So having parked here, we're going to head off down this path towards the start of the main waterfall hike. This short track brings us to our first waterfall of the day after just 5 or 10 minutes, which also happens to be the first waterfall of the Four Falls hike. However, we've approached from the opposite side to the main trail, which meant I had this great view all to myself. The other benefit of approaching from this side is that you can actually climb down to the waterfall. After checking this out, I then continued on the main track over a small bridge and joined the main Four Falls trail on the other side. We're finally leaving the first waterfall behind and we're heading on to the second one. I'm heading along what is a new footpath, I think, and they always seem to be changing the footpaths at the Four Falls, but everything is very well signposted, so when you set off from the car park, I would recommend taking a picture of the map. Just bear in mind that things may have changed since I've been here, because they've changed since the last time I was here. So unfortunately, you used to be able to walk down the 4 waterfalls in a line, but now because they're building all these new footpaths, you do have to double back on yourself. So we're heading down to waterfalls 2 and 3, and then we'll have to go back up the way we've just come and along to the 4th waterfall. But waterfalls 2 and 3 are completely worth it. You don't want to miss this, so I highly recommend taking the detour. And in the past, that would have been the 3rd waterfall that you would have seen, but now because they've moved all the footpaths around, it's the 2nd one, which is good news for us because it means that at the 4 falls, we're saving the best 2 for last. Absolutely amazing here. I've been here for like 10 minutes taking videos and photos and no one else is here. And I think that and the waterfall together is just confirmed that this is my favourite of all of the 4 falls. I think as they're moving all the footpaths around, this one's a bit harder to get to now and a lot of people are just put off. So yeah, it's just me here and it's absolutely amazing. After making the detour to waterfalls 2 and 3, you can then return to the main track and carry on a little further, until you reach an enormous flight of stairs leading you down to the final waterfall of the Four Falls. This one is extremely popular with the tourists as it has a path running behind it, allowing you to walk behind. On the day I visited, there's been a lot of recent rainfall, so the waterfall is particularly ferocious, meaning I'm probably going to get very wet. I'm literally getting wet standing here, so I'm definitely going to get out my waterproof coat before I go behind there. Fortunately, our route continues on from the other side, so we only have to cross behind the waterfall once. The same is likely untrue for most of the tourists around me, who will have to walk behind the waterfall twice and then back up the hellish stairs in the return direction. getting wet!
Crossing under the waterfall here is an awesome experience. The water is thunderingly loud, allowing you to appreciate the full force of nature. It's definitely worth getting a little bit wet for.
So we've just come up that way from the waterfall. We've now left the main Four Falls area and immediately there's no tourists, which was not the case anywhere on those paths. And we're now going to continue in that direction towards the next set of waterfalls. So even though we've left the main Four Falls tracks, the navigation here is really easy. We're just following this big track all the way from where we started at the signpost. No turnings, just follow this to the end. And you'll know you've reached the end because there is a visitor centre and a car park. So really no need for a map or anything like that. You can just follow this path the whole way. It does take a little while. I'm expecting about 45 minutes. So we've just arrived at Dinas Rock that you can see here behind me. There's a ton of rock climbing and stuff that goes on here. And the visitors centre and the car park, which I mentioned, are just down there. So we've made it to the end of our journey away from the Four Falls. And the next thing we're going to do is head a little way down the road until we see the signs for Waterfall Country, which will be our indication that we've reached our next set of waterfalls.
Our second set of waterfalls can be found along what is known as the Elidir Trail. This area, although still popular, is usually quieter than the Four Falls, but truly no less beautiful. As well as the main waterfalls, there are so many smaller pools and cascades all along the route, meaning there is plenty to see. Once again, it's pretty hard to get lost as there is a large path that runs alongside the river, taking you directly to the waterfalls. Only one of them requires a short detour, and this is the first one we'll come to.
Although it's a little bit of a detour off the main path, it's only about 5 minutes, and this is still one of the more popular waterfalls, because often in the summer you'll actually see people jumping off the top into the water below. I have to say though, you will never see me jumping off the top of the waterfall into the water below. I have been for a swim under one of these waterfalls before, which I would recommend, but I must warn you, even on a hot summer's day, the water is very, very cold, so be prepared.
After returning to the main track, our final 3 waterfalls come in very quick succession. These offer several great places for a dip in the cold water after a long day of hiking.
Okay, we're sadly nearing the end of our walk now. The whole section of river is absolutely amazing. You can see why they call this place Waterfall Country, because you can barely go 100 meters without seeing one. And that's it, we've reached the end of the waterfalls. We're in the picnic area at the end of the Waterfall Country walk, and all we have left to do is to make our way back to the car. This little bit back to the car is actually probably the hardest section to navigate, but that's not really saying very much. Google Maps can get you back, but we can also take a quick shortcut.
You can find a link to a map of my whole route in the description below, which might be particularly helpful for this final section if you want to walk off the road. Although I've shown you in this video how to see 8 waterfalls in a single day, you could probably fit in another couple if you're particularly keen. Henrid Falls is not far down the road and could be added on with a short drive to the end of the day. Nevertheless, I was exhausted and I think it might be best saved for another day with a fresh appreciation. even though I was nowhere near as exhausted as I was after climbing Tubercle. You can find a separate video showing that experience on my channel. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next one.